Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Hey, you caught me adding yet one more note to the show notes. That's okay. You deserve it. You're worth it. Zach, do you think they're worth it? I don't know.
I think they're definitely worth it. No
All right,
doubt.
well, Zach thinks you're worth it. So there you go.
So does The Weeknd.
Worth it?
Yep.
I have no idea what you're referencing. Must be some hip-hop pop culture thing.
Some of the people in the audience probably get it.
Are you trying to say working for the weekend?
Nope.
No.
I don't know either.
Yeah, it's probably some kind of a Kanye or something kind of a thing.
It's definitely not Kanye.
The grimaces. The grimaces on the faces of the student of the gun audience is precious. Yes, I'm sipping coffee out of my Listen Up Hippies China mug. It's an exclusive, one of a kind. And where can you get one? The answer is you can't. But that's okay, because I did. All right. We're back. I can't believe it's Tuesday's show again already. It seems like I just heard the Bob Ross music, the Quiet Time music, and here we are again. It's amazing, is it not? And, well, as this show airs, it's Halloween, and I hope that you guys are not worshiping Satan today. I definitely. You realize that, right, Zach? That the show is airing the morning of October 31st.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun day. It'll probably be snowing here.
Zach's going to hand out candy to the Utes of the community because apparently the Utes of the community do trick-or-treat in the downtown area.
Yeah.
With all the businesses.
Hopefully Spike will be helping me.
Yeah, it might be too cold for Spike, though.
That's what I was thinking.
Don't hand out Spike.
You got to be careful. And you don't want too many foreign hands touching Spike because then he could get sick.
Oh, yeah, no. He would just be there to show off. People would not be allowed to touch him.
Put him in a glass case.
I do have that hamster ball. I need to get him a bigger one now.
Glass case of emotion.
That's where he'll be. Bigger hamster ball.
He's so cute.
Yeah.
And spiky and ornery.
And he's got a new cage, or kind of.
Well, enough
redecorated.
That's right. Enough hedgehog talk.
No such thing as enough.
Have you shared the photographs of where he's on his back and he's curled up in a ball? Have you shared those with the world via Instagram?
I believe so. Let me check.
Well,
Arriba.
If you haven't, you really should. All right, kids, cats and kittens, and everyone out there. Jared's in the satellite studio in Salt Lake City. You got snow out there in Salt Lake City, or is it still just up in the mountains?
It's just up in the mountains, not on the ground yet.
It's pretty daggum brisk here this morning. It was 24 degrees.
Woo! Yeah, it was still in above 40 this morning, so that's not too bad.
But that didn't stop Zach from going out into the garage and using the treadmill this morning. Because what do we have?
The heat blaster thing.
Yeah, we have a torpedo heater.
Torpedo, that's what it's called.
Natural gas, propane type torpedo heaters that you put that sucker on and it goes, it's like a blast furnace, which is great unless you're trying to record radio or something like that. Or do a live Facebook.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to be cold out there. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. You can't run the torpedo heater while you're doing any kind of a audio presentation because it's kind of overwhelming. Yeah, you have to yell over the sound of it.
You can set yourself up downstairs in the at the bar area.
You should do more stuff in the bar.
Well, the thing is, I can't smoke there. I'm not going to smoke cigars there.
Yeah.
You could get some kind of thing.
Yeah, so you could get something like the cigar shop where they have those whatever those are called. You know what I'm talking about.
The smoke eaters?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I could just keep doing what I'm doing and drive on with my life. There's that. You guys notice how my sons are coming up with all kinds of different ways for me to spend money and do different things?
Well, no, what I was thinking was that Christmas is coming up, right? So that would be a great gift for Professor Paul.
Oh, one of those $5,000 smoke eater machines?
Yeah.
Just make sure you don't send it USPS. It'll get destroyed.
That's right. The post office will destroy it. No.
And I did just post a picture of Spike Jackson, a good picture of him curled up on his back on my Instagram. So if you go back and look, you might be able to figure out when we were recording this episode.
Instagram. That's on your Instagram. And that is at Shipping Ogre?
At Shipping Ogre.
At Shipping Ogre on Instagram. You think people are getting the sarcasm there? I think they really understand that it's Instagram.
Maybe.
Every once in a while, we lose people because they don't understand or speak sarcasm, and they send us private messages. And they say, hey, man, you might want to tone down on that because it makes you sound...
Hashtag that's part of the joke.
Hashtag that's the joke. All right.
Yeah. When you're getting that, I'm not sure if I wanted to get into that.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
But you either get the joke or you don't get the joke. That's the thing. So your instructions are to listen louder. All right. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to listen louder myself as we introduce this week's Quiet Time from silencershop.com.
Meet Sid. Sid doesn't check for traffic updates. Sid does simplify suppressor ownership. Meet Sid, the new interactive kiosk that makes the fingerprinting and paperwork of silencer applications quick, easy, and pain-free. If you're ready to own a silencer, make time to meet Sid, your new buddy in the silencer business. Available at selected Powered by Silencer Shop retailers.
Yes, indeedy do. What we're going to talk about this week on our Quiet Time, of course, from silencershop.com, is the Patriot Bookshelf. Quite often, we get asked for recommended reading. And we have we've recommended a ton of books here on Student of the Gun. And one of the things that we did for you, actually, Jared did it. I gave him the material, and he compiled it, and he put it up on the studentofthegun.com website, is a little thing called the Patriot Bookshelf. Jared, do you have any idea how long that's been up there? I'd say it's been at least 2 years. Would you not agree to that?
I mean, I could check on there and see when it was published, but probably
I'm just looking for a ballpark because people constantly are like, well, where can I find that? Where can I find that? Where can I find that? And I'm like,
I would say anywhere between 1 year and 10 years.
Really?
Yep, well, anywhere between there.
I know it was long before we decided to move up here, but what I did is I did this crazy thing. I went to a search engine and I typed in Student of the Gun Patriot Bookshelf. I didn't even put in the direct address, and it took me exactly where I needed to go. But if you guys want to look at the show notes, if you want to open the show notes and read along with me, you can do that. Anyway, go to studentofthegun.com/Patriot-bookshelf-books and all that stuff. And that'll get you where you need to go. Number one, I'm going to go down there. And what I'm going to do today is, because last week we talked about the value of reading. We do that all the time, but it can't be overemphasized. I really don't believe it can be overemphasized. When I was a young man, and I was in elementary school and junior high and so forth, they assigned you book reports, and I always fudged them. I read the first chapter, last chapter in the back cover, and I fudged it. Unless it was a topic that I was really interested in. Most of the time, the book reports that we were assigned, I wasn't really interested in it, so I didn't spend much time reading it. But as I grew older, and especially when I had a lot of time on my hands in the Marine Corps, when I was deployed, we had no internet, so I couldn't spend time on Facebook. I couldn't FaceTime or Instagram or any of that stuff. I actually had to pick up a book and read it. And you're like, well, you probably watched a lot of TV and stuff. Yeah. When I was lounging underneath that camouflage net on my sleeping pad in the desert, I was watching all kinds of TV. No, I actually read a whole bunch of books. And I really enjoyed it. And so there's something that I want to recommend to you guys. And this was recommended to me a long time ago by a good friend. And he beat me over the head and he said, read this book. It's not the same as the movie. It's more important that you read the book. Don't be a knucklehead. And that is Starship Troopers. And Starship Troopers, it's kind of like a Huxley or Orwell type of a futuristic, where they're predicting this is what's going to happen in the future, but it's all based around science fiction. It's based around, aliens and star travel and so on and so forth. And you're like, well, that's just a bunch of Star Wars type stuff, right? That doesn't have anything to do with liberty and freedom and, republicanism or anything like that. Well, actually, it does. Actually, in the book Starship Troopers, it kind of talks about what happens when you allow the weak people, the people who don't have any stake in the game, to make the rules. The people who don't produce, but they consume, and they want to make all the rules. And what happens to your society when you allow that to happen. So Starship Troopers is a really good read, and I highly recommend it. You need to do that. And the great thing about the Patriot Bookshelf is what, Jared? Is the fact that there are direct links to each and every one of these books.
Yep.
In there. So you just open it and go, click, Amazon link, bingo, Robert Heinlein, Starship Troopers, boom, boom, bada bing, bam, boom. And now the paperback version says May 15th, 1987, but this book was written long before 1987. That's just when the paperback version was made available. But you can do that. Now, a fun one, if you haven't read this, it's Be Ready When the Beep Goes Down. A Survival Guide for the Apocalypse by Forrest Griffin.
It's an entertaining book.
It is. It's a very entertaining book. And what's funny is that book is 6 years old already.
Oh, really?
Can you believe that? Yeah,
Wow.
It was published in August of 2011.
I was looking for mine on my bookshelf that's right next to me, but I think that all the books that are in the office are business-related books.
Yeah, after we moved, my book collection got spread out throughout the house. There's some in some room and some in another room. There's some out in the garage and so forth. But yeah, a fun read. It has nothing to do with liberty or foundational government or representative republicanism or anything like that. It's just a fun read. And it's by, and every once in a while we just need to take some time and enjoy ourselves, right? So there you go. Now, liberal fascism is an absolute. You need to own, if you're listening to me, if you believe 50% of what I say, okay, you need to own this book. And I just clicked on the link, and there are not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 ways that you can own this book. You can own it on a Kindle, a hardcover, a paperback, an audiobook, or an MP3 CD. You can even do that. So there's absolutely no reason for you not to avail yourself to the book Liberal Fascism, The Secret History of the American Left from Mussolini to the Politics of Change. You need to read this book to understand how it is we got where we are. Okay? And if you read it, when you do read this book, it's like the scales will be removed from your eyes. And when you see things that are happening today, you'll be able to put them into context. You'll be able to realize that, oh, wow. Yeah. All this nonsense, this Antifa nonsense and BLM nonsense and students protesting and walking out of classes and all that, that's not new. That's actually really old. That's part of the original playbook going all the way back to the 20s and 30s for radical socialists who want to institutionalize fairness, which means they get to be in control and tell you what you can and can't do. So if you buy no other book this year, buy Liberal Fascism. Brave New World, we referenced that a little bit ago by Aldous Huxley. A lot of people think Brave New World is just, it's the same thing as 1984, and it's really not. It's kind of it's what happens when socialism takes over, not by beating you with a whip or smashing you over the head with a 2x4, but by doping you up and fooling you into believing that comfort is more important than everything else in your life. So Brave New World is one that you actually should pick up. You should read it because it was a warning. Like I said last week, Brave New World in 1984, those weren't supposed to be how-to manuals for the modern socialist. They were actually supposed to be warnings to us. Yeah. Now, certain things that should be in every Patriot's bookshelf, certain books like The Art of War, The Book of Five Rings, those are listed in here. And as I mentioned previously, when you look up those books, like if you just go to Amazon and type in Art of War, you're probably going to find 12 different versions. Because not obviously, but it was originally written in Old Chinese. And I was a Mandarin or something. I don't even know which original Chinese dialect it was in, but it had to be translated. Now, it's been translated by many scholars over the years, but the translation that you get is going to be heavily based upon the mindset of the person who's translating the book. So if you have a language scholar who has no martial or military background, they're going to see different things than a person who has a martial or military background is going to see when they translate it. That's why we recommend the Stephen Kaufman version of The Art of War. And we also recommend the Stephen F. Kaufman version of The Book of Five Rings. So both of those they're easy reads, but they're ridiculously valuable when it comes to basically putting a point on it helps you understand where we are right now. For instance, in the Book of Five Rings, Miyamoto Musashi, he gives warnings. He gives several warnings about training and training schools and what you may encounter while you're seeking enlightenment, when you're looking for the way, right? And you read, well, at least I did, when I read some of these warnings that Musashi put forth, I thought, geez Louise, this guy wrote this book hundreds of years ago, and he's describing exactly what's going on in our nation today. It's amazing when you read it. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire Patriot Bookshelf. I'm going to just go ahead and stop right there. But what I'm going to recommend to you guys out there in the audience is this. Go to today's show notes, and today is number 683. Go to number 683, open up the show notes, and tap on the link, Patriot Bookshelf, and then take a look. See which books you have, which books you don't have, which books you'd like to start reading first. And as we mentioned previously, here, the fact of the matter is, it's getting dark earlier now. We have more inside time generally in the winter, especially if you're in the West, the Northwest, the Northeast. Yeah, you have a lot of indoor time now, a lot of sitting, at least I would hope so, sitting in a comfortable chair next to a lamp with a hot beverage and, exercising your brain. Take some time to feed your brain. You will not regret it. You won't at all.
Hey, I got a question. Can we, instead of calling it exercising our brain, can we call it training our brain?
You can if you want to.
Yeah, because exercising your brain has no end goal in mind. Training does.
Okay, Matt Reynolds. We can call it that if you want. All right. How about strengthening your brain?
That works.
There you go. You want to strengthen your brain. Do you want to be an armed citizen? Are you thinking about being an armed citizen all the time, not just occasionally or when you feel like it? Well, if that is the case, you actually might want to go over to crossbreedholsters.com because they are the makers of the Super Tuck Deluxe, the most comfortable, highest quality inside of the waistband holster you're ever going to get. Froglube, green, minty fresh. It is a bio-based firearms lubricant It is extreme. And if you buy the Froglube Extreme and you put it on your guns, you can take your guns outside down to -40 and it'll still work just fine. Now, you need to clean your guns every once in a while. That's the caveat. And you're like, oh, man, I have to disassemble this thing and clean all the funk out of it? Yeah, you do. Well, forget it. That's a deal breaker. Okay, that's a deal breaker. Froglube is available from froglube.com or brownells.com or your local dealer, or get it wherever you want. I don't care. Century Arms, the sweetest mill and arms maker in the U.S. of A. Check out their full line of pistols, 9mm pistols. And you say, when are they going to make the Canic in a 40? And my answer is, I hope never. I actually believe the answer is probably never. It would be a complete and total waste of their time to manufacture one in 40, because the 40 caliber cartridge is dying as we speak. Whether or not you believe that's the case, whether or not it makes you happy or sad or indifferent, it's the case. But
the 40 cal cartridge has more stopping power than the 9mm. Don't you understand that?
Hang on, let me take a moment to digest that thought. Okay, I'm done. So go to centuryarms.com and check out their full line of Canic pistols, AK-47s, .308 bolt actions, shotguns, and accessories. DuraCoat. Why? Because life is too short to have an ugly gun. You can get DuraCoat products from LauerWeaponry.com, L-A-U-E-R, weaponry.com, or from Brownells, or from wherever. I don't care. Get it, use it, drive on with your life. And speaking of Brownells, they just did another free shipping promo. These guys are going nuts. They're losing their minds. They're giving away money. I don't know what to say. But I just woke up the other day and looked at my phone, and they're like, hey, here's a notice. Bing, ding, ding, ding. Free shipping. Use this code. So if you guys want to save money, and I'm thinking that most of you probably do. I don't know. If you have extra money that you don't want to have anymore, you can just send it to me. But if you want to save money, go to brownells.com, sign up for their newsletter, and you can save money on ammo and pieces and parts and components and even guns. Yeah, even actual firearms. So what do you have to lose? I'm not sure. SWAT Fuel. SWAT Fuel, they want you to have a stronger body, a sharper mind, not just tomorrow, not just the next day, all the time. And they want you to start now. I want you to start now. Wherever you are in your current journey, I want you to start. So go to SWATfuelstore.com, and you can save some money when you use the promo code SOTG2015.
And I do want to take a moment to read a letter from Dano. I know that some of you guys in the Student of the Gun audience use the 44 Magnum protein, and apparently the last batch the flavor wasn't quite up to par. So this is from Dan. He says, we make our 44 Magnum protein powder in small batches from the highest quality ingredients as fresh food. Sometimes man plans and God laughs. The flavor of our last batch was less than perfect, and we do apologize. It is nutritionally sound, safe, and effective, but the taste is not so sweet. To all of our clients affected, we will be sending a fresh bag of protein with the correct flavoring. Sorry about the inconvenience. Sincerely, Dano. I just wanted to share that with you guys, because if you do have the protein powder and it's not up to the normal taste par, then it's still healthy. You can still use it, and then they will be sending you a bag of fresh protein.
That's pretty freaking righteous.
Yeah. And I know our audience understands this, but apparently some other people don't. So companies are just people. There are people behind companies, and humans make mistakes sometimes. And when something like this happens, it's an opportunity for the company to either shine and show that they care about their customers, or not, and then prove that they don't care about their customers. So we ask you guys that are using SWAT Fuel, if you're part of the Student of God audience and you use SWAT Fuel, send them a word of encouragement and just let them know that you understand and that you're glad to see them taking care of their current customers.
There you go. Yeah, it's not, people say, well, this company made a mistake, or this company had a bad gun, or this company had a bad batch of whatever, so screw them. Well, every company, let me break your heart for a second. Every firearms manufacturer in the history of time has had a bad gun. every firearms manufacturer in history has had a bad batch or a bad run or something. And it's not whether or not you make a mistake, it's how you deal with the mistake. And, most of the good ones, they like admit it. They're like, okay, we had a bad run and we're going to take care of it. We're going to make it right and we're going to move on. So there you go. All right. Jared dropped in. We talked about the Froglube earlier, and I talked about how, yes, you can indeed take it down to sub-zero temperatures and it will still work. What you guys, if you want to avail yourself to the videos, I did a first and a second, a part 1 and a part 2 of my freezer test. I took the Mossberg Shockwave and I applied the Froglube Extreme to it, and I put it in a deep freeze, and I left it for 24 hours and pulled it back out to see if it would actually cycle. And if you guys want to watch it, go to the show notes, click on the links, and have a good time.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
We have we have an update theme that we haven't used in a while. And this update theme is a little more mild than I would like it to be, but it is what it is. This is our slave state music.
I like to teach you all the rules. I get to see them set in stone. I like it when you chain me to the bed, but then you see me.
I told you guys I wasn't going to focus on the negative, and I'm going to try not to focus on the negative, but this is a story that you need to know about. This is a story that you need to understand, realize is happening here in your world. It's the source is guns.com, and the title is Kids Report at School Leads to Man's Arrest for Unsecured Gun at Home. Yeah, let's go ahead and dive into this, kids, shall we? A Los Angeles man is set to be arraigned on Monday, and this story is dated 10/23/17. A Los Angeles man is set to be arraigned Monday on one count of not properly storing a gun after officers found an unsecured shotgun in his home, a violation of the city's safe storage requirements. City Attorney Mike Fuhrer. Is that Mike Fuhrer? Fuhrer? Is it like Adolf Hitler Fuhrer? Okay. Irony. City Attorney Mike Fuhrer announced early this month that Angelo Rocca, 43, was charged by his, quote, gun violence prevention unit over how Rocca had stored a shotgun. According to Fuhrer, a 10-year-old child in Rocca's home showed a visiting friend the shotgun, which was located in a closet. The friend later told school officials about the gun, which resulted in the LAPD visiting Rocca's home, where they found the shotgun loaded and accessible in a closet. Whoa. So you're telling me that the information provided by a 10-year-old child is grounds for a search warrant to see whether or not you have a gun properly secured. All right, let me go back to the second sentence. By the city attorney, Mike Fuhrer, Zigheil, announced that his gun violence prevention unit. Do you realize what this is? Ladies and gentlemen, California residents. This is a gun Gestapo. These aren't law enforcement officers who are out there trying to catch bad guys. Did it say that Mr. Rocca was a narcotics trafficker, that he was a thief, that he was a previously convicted felon, he was a rapist, murderer, killer. No, he's just a dude who owns a shotgun. So we're going to send the gun Gestapo to boot your door, force entry into your home to see whether or not all your guns are properly secured per requirement of the state. And why? Because little Johnny Snotnose ran to school and said, I saw a gun. Listen to what Fuhrer has to say. Locking up guns saves lives. Prove that. It prevents crime. Prove that. Lost or stolen guns are a major source of crime in Los Angeles, of crime guns. So you, the average citizen, you have to alter your behavior in order to deal with the behavior of the criminals that apparently instead in L.A. here, instead of sending the cops out to find felons, to find thieves, rapists, robbers, murderers, drug dealers, instead of sending them out to do that, what they're doing instead is designating them to go to your house to check and see if your guns have been secured per the regulation of the state. And it says Mr. Roca faces 6 months in jail and $1,000 fine. This is sick. This is some twisted crap. And I put this story up. I shared it on Facebook. And I'm so proud of our audience. I'm so proud of the people that follow Student of the Gun because you get it, because you know. Somebody immediately referenced Orwell. In 1984, Orwell wrote, the children were systematically turned against their parents and taught to spy on them and to report deviations to the authorities. That's Big Brother. It said, in essence, the family has become an extension of the thought police. It was a device by means of which everyone could be surrounded night and day by informers who knew him intimately. Hey, there was a guy in the Weimar Republic in Germany in 1935 who had an idea. He wanted to form a youth organization. That had his name at the front of it. And he wanted them to be swift as greyhounds, tough as leather, and hard as Krupp steel. So said Adolf Hitler when he launched the Hitler Youth Movement in 1935. Do you know that Adolf Hitler was a huge proponent of this thing called kindergarten? You know that kindergarten is a German word, right? And because they needed to get the kids away from their families even sooner than they were. And I'm not sure if it was Hitler himself or Joseph Goebbels or one of his propaganda ministers that said, you give me a child until age 12 and I will give you a Nazi for the rest of his life. They understood the importance of getting the children away from their families and under the influence of the state. And believe me, public schools are the direct influence of the state. In the United States of America, 2017, and it's applied 2016, 15, 14, and so forth, the public schools are nothing but liberal indoctrination centers. They are run and operated by dyed-in-the-wool college liberals who don't see the family as the solution. They see the family as the impediment. The parents aren't the solution. The parents just get in the way of the will of the state. And the sooner we can get the kids away from the influence of their parents, who are just dunderheads and don't know how to properly secure their shotguns, and they think that putting a shotgun in a closet is properly securing it, those people need to be found. They need to be arrested. They need to be made example of. And in L.A., we have a special gun Gestapo whose job it is to go around and harass the citizens, not for, malum in se, actual, crimes against humanity, rape, robbery, murder, theft, drug dealing, all that. No. Their crimes are violating the malum prohibitum laws. Folks, I haven't said this in a while, but I'll go ahead and say it now. Get your kids out of public schools. Stop making excuses. Stop telling me that you can't. Stop telling me that it's not possible. It is possible. Do it. Or, well, one day the Gestapo might be rapping on your door because little Johnny Snotnose ratted on you. They're turning your children into mindless socialists. And you're perfectly happy with it because you're really super busy and you don't understand, Paul. I can't. It's too hard. Okay. Positive. Getting back to the positive. Time management. Managing your time. Everybody has a finite amount of time in their life. There have been all kinds of riddles, about, the answer is time. What can't you get back and all that jazz. But let's actually talk about serious, legitimate time management. This last 2 weeks, and we're still going, we talk about strengthening our bodies, strengthening our minds, and that takes time. Now, what I want you guys to do is I want you to take a piece of paper, I know, actual dead tree, find a writing stick. I don't care what kind of writing stick it is. Take a piece of dead tree, and I want you to write 5 words. Well, it's actually 6 words, but it's 5 concepts. It's 5 areas. I want you to write them across the top of it. All right? Family. Work. Recreation. Skill maintenance. That's one subset itself. And education. And I suppose under education, you could also put / training, but you go ahead and do education. Now, when you wake up in the morning tomorrow, because you're already awake today, what I want you to do is I want you to actually take the time to consider how much of your time, of your 24-hour day, do you devote to each of these things? And like family. Now, if you're a young person, listen up, you freaks and freakettes. If you're single, if you don't have children and you don't have a spouse, you still have a family. You have a father and a mother, I would hope, grandparents and grandmas and grandpas, aunts and uncles, and so forth. But I also understand that when you're young, you don't have to devote a lot of time to family maintenance because, well, it's all about you, man. You got all the time in the world. So what you're able to do, and what you should be doing, is you should be transferring some of that time over to not recreation, but to skill maintenance and education. But if you're the average man or woman and you have a couple of kids and, you're married, you have a mortgage, you live in a house and all that stuff, how much time are you spending on your family? Then, and it could be cooking a meal. Okay. If you cook a meal and you sit down and have a meal with your family, that's family time. That goes into that one. Now, work is pretty obvious. Everybody has a work schedule, right? Even people who have their own businesses have work schedules. And quite frankly, people who own their own business devote more time to work than those who don't. So your work, how much time of your day are you devoting to work? Now, recreation, well, I like to golf. I like to this. I like to sit in front of the TV and watch these overpaid idiots run up and down the field. I like to do that. Whatever. Okay. Television time, music time, that's your recreation time. Now, skill maintenance. Skill maintenance would be going to the range. All right. Skill maintenance would be going to the gym. Now, skill maintenance and education, we can confuse those a little bit. But when I say skill maintenance, I mean taking care of what you already have. For instance, the one box workout that we give you guys that's available, that's a skill maintenance drill, right? And whatever it is you're into, skill maintenance. Now, education is actually learning. It's gaining information that you previously didn't have, gaining skill, knowledge, experience that you previously didn't have. So reading a book, okay? taking a class, okay, what have you. So what I want you guys to do as this week progresses and as the month progresses and so on and so forth, when we talk about, we talk about being stronger, having a stronger mind and a stronger body. And I know, Jared, how many times have we had people say something along the lines of, well, that's cool for you because you've got the time. But you don't understand, Paul, Jared. You don't understand. I don't have the time like you do. And I mean, I know I've heard it. Jared, have you gotten it from your end?
Yeah. Especially when it comes to fitness stuff. Well, I just don't have time to spend that. I don't have that much time to spend in the gym. Like,
I don't have the time for that.
Start with a little bit and then it'll work itself out.
And this is, we're going back to a week ago Monday when I said honest self-assessment. We can't move one step further if you guys are not willing to commit to honest self-assessment. And when it comes to time management, what do you spend your time on? That really, that's a gut check right there. It really is. It's a gut check because it's easy to say, I don't have time for that. I'm too busy. Well, what are you too busy doing? Well, whatever. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. How much time are we devoting to those 5 subjects? Family, work, recreation. And don't get me wrong, recreation is an absolute necessity. There are times when I feel like, okay, I've done enough exertion. I've, done enough analytical thought. I just want to sit in this chair and let my brain be mush for a half hour or an hour or whatever. I don't want to have to make decisions. I don't want to have to create. I just want to relax. And you need that. You absolutely do. Human beings need that. You can't go 5th gear all the time because your engine will burn out. But then again, we also have to do honest self-assessment and say, is the reason that I'm not training and the reason that I'm not increasing my education because I'm devoting 4 hours a day to recreation? Am I devoting 3 or 4 hours a day to television watching or whatever? You tell me, man. And I know a lot of you guys are like, I don't watch TV or whatever. Okay. But do some honest, no kidding self-assessment. Family, work, recreation, skill maintenance, and education. And when you do that, when you actually take the time to take a writing stick and a piece of paper and calculate, now obviously we have sleep. Now I guess I could put that in there, but let's just go ahead and count the 5 as waking hours. All right. So if you get an average of 7 to 8 hours a night sleep, okay, great. So subtract that, and so now you got 16 hours worth of time to devote to those 5 areas. Take, a few days, a week maybe, and calculate. I'm not asking you to change and radically alter your schedule, but take the time to consider what you're spending time on. And then before you look at me or Jared or anybody else and say, that's all right, that's cool for you, but I just don't have the time to read. That's another thing that I call bull crap on all the time. I throw the yellow flag when people say, I don't have time to read. Horse crap. You have an attention vampire in your pocket. So how many times do you check Facebook a day? How many times do you check Instagram a day? How many times do you fart around scrolling this, that, up and down, backwards and forwards, looking at stupid cat videos or whatever? Don't tell me you don't have time to read a book. I know you have time to read a book. It's the fact is you're wasting your time looking at the idiot box in your pocket. Okay, we all do it. I do it. Jared does it. Everybody does it. But honest self-assessment. So what are you spending your time on? Take some time the next week, and I want you, if you're serious about this endeavor, if you're serious about it, calculate the amount of time you're spending on family, work, recreation, skill maintenance, and education. All right, I think that's all I got for you. We actually went a little bit long today because I got into the Orwellian psychotic state of our nation where we have our youth spying on adults and then we're sending the Gestapo out to punish them. So this is the world you want to live in? That's America? That's how you want to live your lives? Remember, you're a beginner once, student for life.